Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Overwatch All-Star Brawl 5, presented by Star Esports. Tonight, we have got an excellent matchup on our hands. We've got Kryix Esports taking on our in-house team, No Use for a Name, and I am very excited to get into this one. Before we get going, my name is Shy Guy. I'm joined by Got Moxie here tonight in the casting booth. Are you ready for what we've got in store tonight, Moxie?
Oh, absolutely. So, a little known secret about myself is that, well, I have some very particular opinions on metas that I've got to cast, Shy Guy. And no, me strong opinionated? No. Well, I have to say, the current meta that we're sitting in is probably among one of the highest ranks, in my opinion. It's just so fun to watch, so fun to play, and so fun to cast because so many different things can happen, so many heroes that were never really in contention for compositions, well, they're all viable again.
Yeah, it definitely feels like a whole new world of Overwatch right now, a very exciting world with things kind of constantly changing, the meta very much in flux right now. And before we get a little bit too further into that, before we get into the match here tonight, we've got a special guest joining us for a bit of a pre-match interview. It's Crazy Hobo from Kryix Esports coming in. How are you doing tonight?
Hi, I'm doing pretty fine so far.
Yeah, so describe a little bit for the viewers at home, what your role is with Kryix and, how you kind of play that role.
Well, I founded the esports team a few months ago, and we've been doing not very much recently, but I usually just help find scrims and make sure everything's set up. I don't do very much management.
Okay, so you're the one keeping everybody in line, as they prepare and practice behind the scenes. So, how has the kind of preparation for this tournament been going for you guys? What does practice look like recently?
Well, we've been scrimming a lot more than usual lately, hoping to do somewhat well in this. We hope it's a good.
Yeah, we are definitely excited to see what your team has in store for us. Of course, you did get through the first round off the back of forfeit, so this will be the first action that you guys see here in the All-Star Brawl, going up against No Use for a Name. What can we kind of expect out of your team here tonight in terms of what players do you think we should be keeping an eye out for in for their kind of pop-off potential?
Well, we're trying to see how we can go with some pretty aggressive tank play, so I think they should be fun.
Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to that. Always love to see some good tank play. So definitely going to be keeping an eye out for Spike and OP on that side of things. Before we let you go and go enjoy the match, I just want to give you an opportunity to say thank yous to anyone on your team, or just kind of plug your team, where people can find you, support you, anything like that.
Well, I want to say thank you for all the players for actually showing up to scrims on time, and if you want to learn more, you can find us on Twitter at Kryix_.
All right. Well, Crazy Hobo, thank you very much for joining us for that interview, and good luck with the match tonight.
Thank you. Have a nice night.
All right, Moxie. Well, we are just about ready to get into things, and I, for one, am very excited to get to see Kryix play for the first time. They got through round one off of that forfeit, so now we'll get to see them tested here tonight up against No Use for a Name.
And we've been promised aggressive tank play, and Shy Guy, well, we both like to see teams go out and out on the aggression, because I think my biggest criticism of any team has been to hold off when they should be moving ahead. And from the sense of that interview, well, I don't think that's one complaint I'm going to be having about these teams today.
No, definitely not. And, I think right now, we started talking a little bit about the meta before we got into the interview. And I think the meta where it stands right now, with as much kind of Rhine and Diva in particular that we're seeing, is a great one for that aggressive tank play.
Oh, especially because Lucio got his speed boost reverted. So all of the tricks that you used to be able to pull before when standard free composition was the thing, well, you can pull all those all over. And Shy Guy, the amount of shatters that I've seen where a Lucio just has his Rein waiting around the corner, speed boost straight into the face of the enemy team, and just puts them all on their back before that you can even blink. I think if I had a coin every time that I saw it happen, well, I would have at least 5 more legendary skins than I already do.
Yeah, I mean, the gameplay right now really lends itself to that kind of high octane style, where we're no longer necessarily in the era of ghosts. We're no longer in that double shield meta where nothing seems to die. There is definitely, much faster kind of pace coming out from a lot of teams, so it's really exciting to see that come through. And I'm pumped to get underway here.
Oh, as I really am quite happy because, well, it is one of my favorite meta, Checker, and it's my favorite meta for a reason. Before I was a support player and a support main and had an avid 50 hours of Ana racked up on my career profile, I dabbled a little bit with D.Va. I had never really gotten into first-person shooters, and I will admit, actually getting to see the person controlling the thing helped me out just a little bit. So I was a big fan of Defense Matrix. I was a big fan of stalking enemy Zaryas when I figured that they would have their grabs up and online and boosting in just in the nick of time to save my team from a team kill. And that's the sort of play that we're getting to see from those off-tank players now. It is that dance, but not of death. It is who is able to get their ultimate out without it being gobbled away by the off-tank.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in the kind of biggest or the person who has to worry about that the most right now tends to be whoever is playing Mei. The Blizzard has such a long kind of wind-up time on the cast there for the ultimate. The projectile is pretty slow to actually get out of Mei's hand, so there's plenty of opportunities for D.Vas to gobble those up, as you said, if their heads are on a swivel. So definitely going to be keeping an eye on that kind of the mind games that come from that, and everything that teams have to do to ensure that the Blizzards get out clean.
It harkens back a little bit to that Rein versus Rein, where you have 2 of your main tanks with that shatter both up and online, and you know that one of them has to initiate and put theirs in first, but the other one doesn't really want to because he doesn't want to drop a shield to allow that other Reinhardt to get the opportunity to go for that counter shatter, because the Rein who shatters last, he normally is the one who picks up the most value, and you become very antsy and very much on edge, and we start to see teams, they either manage to keep their cool, so as to speak, and manage to get that ultimate out, or they tend to fall apart and crumble a little bit under the pressure, and that's when those cracks start to appear that can be easily taken advantage of. So it really is gonna be that matchup, who is able to demech that D.Va first, having a huge advantage when it comes to that ultimate fight.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we said, the D.Va players are definitely going to be ones to watch out for. The Mei is also going to be able to have a lot of impact throughout the series. But I do want to remind everyone at home that if there is a player that you think stands out, that really makes a name for themselves in the series here tonight, you can scroll down below the Twitch stream. You can find our MVP poll, and you can decide who's going to come away with a little bit of bragging rights after this series, and who we will have the opportunity to interview when it's all said and done.
Yeah, so if any Rein, I should say, goes for that back shatter that we've all seen Reinhardt try to pull off, sometimes successfully, sometimes not quite so, and you want to have a little bit of a sit down with him, find out what was going on through his head and how maybe you can try to replicate it with hopefully as much success in your own games, well, do remember to keep voting in that MVP poll.
Yes, and any vote that we get, it helps contribute a little bit in the form of bits for us here at Star Esports. So if you like what we're doing, definitely be sure to show us some love that way. But you can also find us, here on Twitch. You can follow, you can subscribe if you're feeling generous. You can even just find us on Twitch, on YouTube, if you want to catch up on any of the games that you might have missed. And then, of course, there's always the Discord, where you can come join in on the action. You can kind of be a part of this. If you have a team, you could be a part of the next All-Star Brawl when it rolls around, and you could be the ones out here competing as we sit back and watch you for our enjoyment.
We do get to feel a little bit like evil scientists. Just, we're looking down on a laboratory, don't we, Shy Guys? All of these teams run around trying to keep us and the viewers at home happy. And, well, I try personally not to let the power go to my own head, but sometimes it does just get a little bit exhilarating.
Yeah, well, we're not going to necessarily have a laboratory to watch these teams go head-to-head here tonight, but we might just have a university because we're kicking things off on Oasis. It looks like everybody is locked and loaded, ready to get into the series, so we are just about to get underway. I am very excited. I'm going to be interested to see, how things kick off on Oasis in terms of which submap we get. If it's University, it's going to be that May really being an oppressive force, but things open up on the other 2 points here on Oasis.
Yeah, so Oasis is very much a mixed bag of maps because of the amount of things that you can just run based purely on which submap you end up on. If you've got those nice open skies, well, Pharmacy is always a good shout. If you've got those nice high ledges, Winston might even be broken out of main tank jail and run a little bit amok around the supports.
Yeah, absolutely. You can get a lot of value, especially on City Center where you've got all that open space. But it does look like it's going to be University where we'll kick it off here tonight. So much more of a brawl coming our way as soon as the teams find their compositions, get ready to roll out. I expect a lot of May I would expect it from both sides to be honest, but I'll be interested to see what comes out alongside that on the DPS line. Will teams go for the McCree, the Reaper? Obviously, excels in these close quarters fights. We'll just have to see.
It really is just kind of slide in the DPS that you so choose based on who do you want to partner up with that May. Because there are so many things. As you rightly said, there is that McCree. He has spiked up in popularity, but there is also that Reaper. And if he gets into those close quarters and he starts chunking away at those HP bars, well, it normally allows the rest of his team to get in on the action and start cleaning away the kills away from their point. And so I likewise am going to be very interested to see what these teams run out with, but mainly more on the support lineup, because if you run those two off supports that we're tending to see a little bit in open division now, you really do just want to go for that brawl to start initiating the fight and getting the kills going your way immediately. But if you go for that main tank, that Moira option, well, you want to build up to a coalescence and try to initiate the fight with that. And we're seeing mirror Moiras coming from both of these teams.
Yes, the double shield tank option is going to be coming out from Kryix, and they're on the attack early on, down beneath the point. About half of No Use for a Name dropped down to try to take that fight. The other half stayed on the high ground. A little bit of miscommunication, it seems like, from the team in red.
Yeah, and it seems as if they're all just heading to point to spawn, actually going to go in for that approach once more, this time coming in together as a team, not wanting to stagger each other out.
Yeah, this is great for Kryix, though. It gets them off to an excellent start. Now they've got this double shield set up on the point there. They're able to kind of bunker down defensively with that Orisa a little bit, but still looking to get aggressive and keep No Use from pushing out from the side room. They've got Noble isolated. They do collapse on him and take him down.
This is the power of the May. When it's already set up, you just choose your moment when to wall, and bang, the main tank is gone.
Yeah, absolutely. Noble had really no shot at that point, and is actually now going to be making a swap over to an Orisa of his own for No Use, as they too will now try to kind of match the double shield setup.
But it's a misplay because Amazing 91% to the Blizzard. Raid is not anywhere near ready for that sign barrier, and Noble swapping onto the Orisa takes away the defense matrix out of the equation. Kryix get a free Blizzard in.
Yeah, absolutely no concern about that getting eaten up, and now the Earthshatter comes down, the Blizzard over the top of it is going to make this a one fight for Kryix. They commit what they need to, 3 ultimates to win that fight, and now they're up, going to pass 70% not too long.
And No Use for a Name, really the only saving grace that they've been trying to build up towards is this nano death lesson, but even then, T-time is 74% away, and if DMTD manages to hit that sound barrier before that Reaper is ready to ultimate, well, the consequences could be devastating for No Use for a Name. They're approaching that final fight territory.
Micro with the only one with an ultimate online. Can he hold his nerve and save it for T-Time's Death Blossom? Instead, it's going to go right in on top of the Rhine. Noble goes in to lead the charge, but it's Storm Hornet doing a lot of the damage with that hammer. They pick up 3, and they should be able to flip this one back.
But Shy Guy, they have to win every single team fight from now until their board reads the exact same as it currently is for Kryix, because they just need to win one fight. These guys, they can just come in, small little pushes, build up ultimates, and then wash over no use for a name. Really, these guys, they're going to have to stand onto point. They're going to have to start putting ultimates in immediately. I'm looking at Caffeine. I'm looking at this Blizzard. They need to put it in, but they need to pull that sign bar from DM out first.
Yes, exactly. They need to try to bait out some of these resources from the side of Kryix, but it's just going to be the Blizzard going in. It isolates OP and gets Kryix off on the wrong foot here. They might just be trying to go for a little bit of a tactical retreat. They got the Blizzard out of this push, and now they'll just regroup for the next fight.
And they'll have a Blizzard of their own, but they won't have a Cyber. They want to take the fight now!
Oh, Sun just runs straight into the front line, drops that Death Blossom. Too many tools available for Kryix. No Use for a Name has no chance in that point. The sound barrier can't save them, and they will fall.
Unfortunately, no Use for a Name. They didn't commit to the composition that they wanted to run, and that is the danger in this meta. If you swap, even if it's after that first initial team fight, you constantly just backset yourself when it comes to ultimates. You didn't have your Blizzard Bolt, you didn't have a sign barrier to match the enemy's Blizzard, you're taking your D.Va out so they didn't have to worry about getting her out of the mech before they put that one in, so you're not even burning time off to build up ultimates of your own.
Yeah, and they didn't even make the swap after that first fight. They waited until after losing 2 fights, which just it really puts you behind the 8 ball. They never got up to a point where they could use either of those tank ultimates effectively, and it comes back to bite them. But they'll try to change things up pretty significantly as we head over to City Center. Here's the dive that we were talking about. Winston's on both sides. The Wrecking Ball there for Storm Hornet should be hard to deal with.
Yeah, but Kryix reads it perfectly, already goes to that soldier wanting to get the pharmacy counter immediately in the action.
Yeah, and now they've got control of the high ground due Kryix. They've got this Brigitte up here, so no one can realistically even dive in too effectively. They have managed to push Sun off and even chase down that kill with the Winston. Noble gives his life for it, so now it's just kind of a chaotic fight on the point. No one really able to take the advantage right now.
Well, no Use for Name do have that Mercy still in place, so Rez is on the table in case they lose them out, but she is getting just pinned down at the moment.
Almost taken out there by Wolf, who is really controlling space on the point with this Brigitte. No one from No Use can really push in right now. They're trying to contest, but it's just not going their way. They can't find the kills, and that is just a kind of a masterclass in positioning from Kryix.
I mean, they did such a wonderful job as well of dealing with that pharmacy. They wait until the moment that Micro is away to raid before they properly go after the Pharah, and Caffeine without that tail, without that pocket, just gets taken out immediately. Yes, T-Time has got his pulse already and will be looking to drop it onto someone from Kryix, but they're going to have to do it knowing that Wolf is going to be looking for their head with that shield ready to put straight into the front of the skull.
Right as it goes off the bounce pad, drops the pulse bomb onto Caffeine. What an insane play from the Tracer. It's res back up immediately, and the trade is there onto Sun. So now an advantage for No Use, despite the incredible play from the Tracer on the side of Kryix. His team is now down, needs some hero plays, but they're getting picked off at this point. Wolf falls, and now the tank's trying to buy some time on the point.
Well, no Use for a Name. They do have that Nano if they want to put it in, but Raid goes down, so Nano no gone.
Yeah, the tanks get onto the backline there, deal with the Ana, and they might be turning this fight around a little bit. The res will bring the Ana back in the fight late, but the damage might have been done. The Nano onto Caffeine has to be the fight winner here. He needs to find these shots, but so far it's just not happening. The monkey in his face zoning Caffeine away, and Kryix gonna retain control.
Spike doesn't give Caffeine room to breathe, let alone room to barrage. and Amazing manages to pick Micro off at the tail end of the fight as well. Caffeine was given the nano. They wanted to use that barrage, but all of Kryix see the opportunity, know that's what the Pharah wants to do, and so just hound her down constantly. And now Sun has a tag visor ready to go for whenever News for a Name want to come in for this contest, and at 92%, it's the last fight, Shy Guy. It's looking like it could be quite grim for this team.
Yeah, the tanks have kind of realized that, and they've gotten onto Sun, but he's still able to deal with Micro up in the sky. No more mercy to tether with the Pharah. That's going to make Caffeine awfully vulnerable. He is falling very low at the moment, you know, stuck hiding for his life. Amazing will finish it off, and now looking to deal with Noble as well. Some help from Demented finishes off that kill. It's just the cleanup now for Kryix.
Oh, and that stubbornness comes into play because they don't really have that Tracer counter, so you don't have any way to oust Kryix from the point.
No, absolutely not. Kryix coming through with an impressive win here on City Center. They looked calm and collected from the jump on Oasis. They win both maps pretty convincingly over No Use for a Name and get this series started off on the right foot.
Yeah, and look at that Blizzard, completely scot-free. Doesn't have to worry about that defense matrix. It's just allowed to put it down, and the team, well, they do the absolute rest. Cleanup comes in, No Use for a Name are herded away.
And you know, and another thing you saw, not only was the Blizzard placed quite well there, but the wall to set it up is perfect. Even if the D.Va is in that fight, it's hard to, you know, perhaps eat that ultimate with the walls coming through so clutch. So Kryix looking very strong in their All-Star Brawl debut so far, but we will, of course, pump the brakes a little bit. This is only Control. This is only the first map of the series. There's still a long way to go, and things change pretty dramatically once we get away from Oasis.
Yeah, Control is a sort of foot into the water. It doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things, Shy Guy, because so many teams, well, they hate to play it. We hate to play it as well, I'm sure. Not as bad as 2CP, but it's
I love to play it. I personally love Control. Control is my favorite game mode to play.
King of the Hill?
Yes,
really?
I love it. I love it. It's
not hybrid, not escort, no love for King's Row.
Nah, I mean, a lot of loves for King's Row. Let's be clear on that. But if I'm picking a game mode, Control is chef's kiss for me. But this time around, it's not going to be another Control map. We can't do that. It'll be Rialto for map number 2 as No Use for Names gets their pick in. So this should change the complexion of the series quite a bit.
Yeah, this says to me that they want to continue trying to run this pharmacy, because pharmacy can find quite a lot of value on Rialto. However, the real problem for this team's plan, that wrench in the spanner, is going to be that Kryix, well, they were more than adept at dealing with that Pharah. They just did not give her room to breathe. In fact, she didn't manage to pull off a single barrage all round, even with a nano that got placed onto her purely for that purpose. And so if No Use for a Name really do want to put all of their eggs into the pharmacy basket, well, they're going to have to at least put someone on soldier duty, because Sun, while not being able to just take the Pharah out solo, was able to just put in so much damage and force Caffeine to play around, knowing that they have to go be very, very careful to show their head, not to poke too much too far. That really the rest of Kryix, well, they just cleaned up what was left of that Pharah's HP.
Yeah, and the one thing that No Use for Name does have going for them as we head over to Rialto, if they do want to continue running that Pharah, is I don't think you're going to see the same kind of compositions out from Kryix this time. On that City Center, you have the divier composition, which means just kind of inherently everybody's much more spread out. You're not getting a lot of shots into multiple members. You're not getting that splash damage nearly as much with the Pharah. So if that is indeed the pick that Caffeine goes back to, it could find a little bit more value this time around. But we'll just have to see in a moment what No Use for a Name want to run on their attack.
Yeah, well, it's not really that much expected that we'll be seeing an Orisa coming out, because it used to be that Orisa was part and package of the Rialto map, having that river just immediately there after that spawn door to let you pick up a nice and easy 4K or 5K, just putting them straight to drown. Well, She's since been hit with a couple of changes. Blizzard have shown her the door, and Reinhardt has taken the place in that revolving circle of main tank, and it looks as if it won't actually be the pharmacy that we discussed at all, Shy Guy. Caffeine is going to be coming out on this May, but Sun, in anticipation of the pharmacy, has actually gone for the McCree.
Yeah, we've got McCree's on both sides of T-Time picking that up. Kryix rushing out from their hiding place, almost able to get onto Caffeine, force out that ice block early, and then Spike just continues pressing W, gets right into the back line. Micro will be the first to fall, and despite the boot there from Raid, the fight goes for Kryix, but now they'll have to back off and give a little bit of ground.
Well, they were so aggressive that isn't really the place that we see the defending team hold. In fact, the place that the defending team hold is the very corner that Kryix are currently occupying.
Yeah, so they pull out a little bit of a cheeky strat there. They get aggressive and they win the first fight off of it, buys them time. It gets the first Earth Shatter, and it is absolutely massive. A 6-man hammer down from Spike sets up his team for success.
And Noble is just going to hit 60% to that same ultimate. Now, Shy Guy, Kryix, their all-in-all out aggression is paying off for these guys like an absolute charm. They've bought time, they've staved off Noosh for a name, and Wolf is going to be coming up to that coalescence, is going to hit it just as the attackers try to take control of the payload.
Oh, they're doing it again.
Wrap around, they want to just go for that aggressive play again.
Oh my god, and they do it beautifully. Wolf with the 3k from the damage orb. Balanced ability, by the way, but again, they sneak around on the high ground. No use for a name, doesn't scout it out, and they just get blindsided.
Yeah, and here's how that damage orb was able to pick up so much value. Storm Hornet was actually away from the team. The defense matrix was off the table. They haven't actually managed to stagger the Diva out though, so Storm Hornet will still be occupying that high ground, but OP is able to just boost up there and take it back if they so choose to engage.
Yeah, I'm really impressed with the target calling from Kryix so far. We'll see if they can keep this up. That last fight win cost them no ultimates, so they've got, nearly 5 ready to go for this next engagement. No use for a name, going up to the high ground as they get ready for this fight. Their Storm Hornet able to get into the backline, deals with Sun, and now T-Time free to go from the high ground, unleashes the Deadeye, will find Wolf, and finally they break through.
Oh, Kryix had all of the tools, but unfortunately they didn't put the Blizzard in when they perhaps should have, and now they will lose control of that payload. Played actually beautifully by No Use for a Name, just putting that Deadeye in to make Kryix start to panic. Spike tries to put that Shatter in, but it finds absolutely nothing, so Noble doesn't have to worry about that counter Shatter coming through. Meanwhile, No Use for a Name, they've got control of the payload, they've got so many ultimates!
Oh, but Noble lays down the Earth Shatter and sets up his team to perhaps win out this final fight. OP answers back with the double kill from the self-destruct, laid in with the Blizzard. The combo is beautiful, and he is cleaning up the remainder of this fight. This might just be going in the direction of Kryix. The last second defense is beautifully done.
But here's the thing, one ultimate remains on the board for both of these teams, Shy Guy, and it is without doubt the most impactful ultimate in-game currently. This is the Blizzard, and DM does not have this sound barrier. They cannot stave the damage off. The only way Kryix are going to survive the Ice Age is if OP is able to get that E. It all falls down to this Diva and that defense matrix.
Absolutely. A couple other ultimates could be on the line for the side of No Use if this fight extends a little ways. Noble almost up to another Earth Shatter. The Deadeye just gonna kind of zone them back, but in fact finds the kill onto Sun. The mech is gone. The Blizzard is free now for No Use. This has to be their fight.
And they're not initiating with the Blizzard, and it allows for Amazing to get a counter Blizzard in before Caffeine even puts their own.
Okay, there's the Blizzard now from Caffeine. It's just zoning away the members of Kryix for this point. No one caught up in that just yet, and they're able to contest at the last second. This fight is still winnable for the defense. The charge in from Spike will deal with Storm Hornet, and they've got the advantage now. They've got the numbers on the point, and the ultimates are almost on the line. The sound barriers out from both sides are keeping them in this fight, but the kills are there for Kryix.
Oh, this is all falling apart. No Use for a Name. They had so many things, but they just didn't put them in the right order. And again, I do. I end up criticizing teams so many times this way, Shy Guy. But they had Blizzard. They had 2 ultimates on the board, the Blizzard and the Deadeye. But they teeter. They dawdle. They don't want to commit Blizzard to a fight that they think they should be able to win without it. And it allows Kryix the time to build up ultimates to counter the Blizzard for when it comes on down.
And then not only do they wait so long with the Blizzard, but then for it to ultimately net them 0 kills and not even zoning Kryix off enough to get the payload through the checkpoint. It is the worst case scenario there for No Use, an unfortunate situation, but one that definitely could have been changed just by a little bit of different kind of order of operations, a little bit more urgency in that moment. Instead, the full hold comes through from Kryix, and they have got to be feeling so good about how this series has started.
Oh, absolutely. And what we saw in Oasis is that they are, without a doubt, one of the most aggressive teams that I have ever seen when it comes to this tank lineup. The amount of times that OP has just been hounding someone away from the rest of the team, and Spike's just been in the front line hammering away at Noble. Well, I have lost track, but it's working for these guys, Shy Guy, because sometimes you have that danger where really aggressive tank duos aren't getting the backup that they need from supporters who perhaps like to take a more defensive angle, but no! Everyone on the side of Kryix is very much aggro, very much wanting to get their hands down and dirty and into those kill feeds.
Yeah, they are just kind of all in on this aggressive strategy right now, and it's working out beautifully. They've got Wolf there every time to enable Spike to go on these crazy plays, to go for all this aggression. That wall might set up an opportunity for an engagement here. Kryix just kind of taking the space for the time being, and now Spike might have bit off a little bit more than he could chew. OP there with the defense matrix to keep his main tank alive despite that wall from Caffeine. So both teams just kind of posturing around the corner right now.
They're both trying to build up to ultimates. Really, it's the supports at the moment. Micro's getting closer and closer to that amplification matrix, and that can shut down Kryix's approach immediately.
Yeah, but Kryix just kind of wrap around the back. They avoid the corner entirely, and now they're pushing forward. The amp matrix is out, but can any value be found from it? They do disable Spike. They get him out of the fight, and it's going to be a successful defense here for the side of No Use until Wolf decides he can bring this back with the Coalescence, throws that one in, finds 2 kills immediately, and they're still trying to push this card.
And T-Time has that Deadeye online, but doesn't want to commit it. And again, it harks back just a little bit to that Blizzard not wanting to put it in, but they will be able to survive this fight and stave Kryix off long enough for the team reinforcements to come on back down without putting that one in. So they will have it. However, if they want to pick up kills of it, OP is gonna have to be demexed, and sometime soon in that future.
Definitely could just be a tool for breaking shields or keeping Kryix from pushing in too aggressively. The bomb over the top from OP enables him to go for it, but the kill is still there onto Raid. The immortality field not able to save him, and now that shatter sets up an opportunity for No Use, but the wall from Ryan Mazing is just beautiful. Sun off the tail end of this fight comes in with the double kill on the Deadeye, and that just might be all she wrote.
Well, if Noise for a Name are able to bolster their forces fast enough and get a touchdown on it, it's swapping onto the Hammond. They do have something that can swing the fight in their favor, that Blizzard, but no one's able to touch!
No Use for a Name tries to use the sound barrier there to get back to the point, but Rage is not able to do it. He gets booped away, he gets shattered, he gets pushed back, not able to do it there. And Kryix, they come out swinging here on Rialto. The defense was so insanely aggressive, it caught No Use for a Name off guard from the jump, and they are able to come away with an impressive victory there on Rialto.
Yes, and I know we're second map in, but I do have to say, Rymazing is one of these names that is currently sticking out for me as one of those worthy of the MVP poll, because you touched just a little bit on that beautiful wall that saved his team when that shatter comes down. It does more than save his team, it saves the fight. because normally when the shatter comes down and you find 3-4 people on their backs, heads up to the sky, the cleanup comes immediately through from the other side, but that wall prevents the following charge, prevents any of the kills being swept in the way of Nose for a Name, and allows Kryix to get that opportunity to fight back, to get the kills swinging in their favor, take control of the payload, and Nose for a Name, they aren't able to get their foot out of the spawn door afterwards.
No, that was just brilliant from start to finish there for Kryix. Very few mistakes coming out over the course of that map. Really living up to that aggressive mantra that we heard from their manager at the interview to start off this series, and excellent individual plays. I do want to give some props to you. We talked about Amazing. His tracer was great on Oasis. He was brilliant on the Mei there on Rialto. But the tank line for Kryix is just setting the tone right now. Spike especially is leading the charge for this team, both literally and figuratively. He is setting up his teammates with massive earth shatters, but constantly on the forefront of these fights, constantly pushing the envelope, and his team is right there behind him, ready to follow him into the thick of it. And it's just beautiful to watch.
And if Spike is fighting on the front lines, well, OP is in the shadows, doing sneaky diva things, taking the high ground before Nose for a Name can really try to yank it into their advantage. In fact, in that engagement, OP went up onto the high ground, that ledge on that first part of Rialto, and the Lucio actually follows suit just to keep the diva up there, and that forces Nose for a Name, Storm Hornet, who's currently battling OP solo, well, the Batiste has to actually boost up to the ledge, take himself out of the fight for a couple of seconds just to heal the diva back up. You took a main support out of a fight when it was going on before their very eyes, and that tank lineup was suffering, that Reinhardt was going down, without even getting the pick off in the first place.
No, definitely drawing a lot of attention right now is OP, and at the same time kind of mitigating the effects of the attention on other teams. I remember especially one play where Spike was completely caught off guard by a wall from Caffeine, but OP is up on the high ground with the defense matrix ready to just save his main tank partner and set up the rest of the team to do work. So they are really kind of on the same wavelength right now is Kryix, and it's fun to watch. It's got them a 2-0 lead in this series, and now we are headed into map 3. It's going to be another control map to decide it, so this one could be over pretty quick if Kryix can come up with the win on Busan.
Well, Nose for a Name can still grab this one back, Shy Guy, because really the failure that these guys are having is looking at the ultimates that they're currently in possession of and deciding the timing of when they put them in. Blizzard is a fight-winning ultimate, but only when you use it in situations which allows it to be fight-winning, i.e. when there is no defense matrix with that chance to gobble it away, there is no immortality field in play when the Batiste is down, or when it's got that hefty 25-second cooldown punishment started on the clock, or when the Lucio just used Sound Barrier in the last fight, so he doesn't have it online. It is such a huge, impactful ultimate, but it just feels that Nose for a Name, they're putting so much value into it that they think fights aren't worthy enough to use it for. And they try to put in smaller, less impactful ultimates to get the same amount of value, a sort of quantity over quality, but it's just not really been working out for these guys so far.
No, I want to see them answer back here after a tough first couple of maps, and we'll see what they're able to do as we kick it off on Sanctuary. It's going to be a very different look here coming out from Nose for a Name. The Ashe out from Tea Time is kind of on the flank looking for angles. They've got Caffeine playing the Hanzo, so they've got these two long-range damage dealers going for them.
Yeah, and they've got Micro on that Mercy, not for the fire, but for that damage boost, for that res. So Tea Time is just gonna be a faster aiming Widowmaker, just as deadly, but OP with that defense matrix could just take away all of the damage. And in fact, Kryix, they're going even more aggressive, Shaika. They're going for a loop around. They're trying to catch Nose for a Name with the back.
Well, it's ring around the rosy, but they can do it much faster. They've got the Lucio on their side, but instead it's Spike. He's taken too much poke in the meantime, and he will fall. Caffeine just popping off on the Hanzo, gets a triple kill to kick things off here on Busan, and that is exactly the start that Nose for a Name needed.
It's a rotation that would work for any other team that Kryix were running into. Unfortunately, they're running it up against 2 snipers. And you can see already the ultimate charge, the amount of damage that Noise for a Name's DPS are doing. Caffeine has just hit that dragon, and tea time is 80% to the first ultimate. Meanwhile, Sun on the other side, lagging just a little bit behind, about to hit 60% to the Deadeye. If Kryix want to go for those rotations, they need OP to have that defense matrix immediately just almost used up entirely just to allow themselves to get even close enough to start doing damage.
Yeah, and you know, Spike Shield not lasting super long in these situations. The Dragons do come in a little bit mistimed with the halt there, so you know, Kryix able to get in pretty much unscathed. They've got the Coalescence topping them up in this fight, and they've got the opening kill. Caffeine is out of it. No more Hanzo. He was a menace last time around, but he's back. And the kills are starting to trade back and forth. Kryix still trying to keep this going, but they've got to win a fight decisively to clear off No Use for a Name.
Well, the Nano does go down for Noise for a Name, so they are committing to this fight. Stormhornet picks up one with the minefield as well.
Yes, but that really hasn't bought them a lot so far. OP is in the backline trying to deal with Caffeine again. Will be able to do it in escape for the time being, but still, it's just going back and forth right now. Neither team really able to gain the upper hand at the moment. Tea Time still just plinking away from long range. They tried to get up in his face, but they weren't able to push him away too much, and he's able to just continue free firing.
And that long overdrawn fight just benefits Noise for a Name entirely. They chalk up 75% on that board. But Kryix, well, they've been quiet. They've been building ultimates up, Shy Guy. This is the proper push. This is when that fight really begins. They're going to be coming in with so much, and Noise for a Name, they've got so little.
Yes, but they've got the opening pick. Sun has fallen, and you know, now the biotic grenade puts them all low, forces the sound barrier out from Demented without a lot of value. OP in the back trying to chase down Micro, but not able to find the kill just yet. In the meantime, the kills are going back and forth, but no one really able to take advantage right now. The Blizzard is out, but only dealing with Noble, who's isolated on the point. He's got the ability to get out of it as well. It does net them the fight win, it seems like, but it was a lot committed.
And now Noise for a Name, they're in the same spot that Kryix were in on that first round in Oasis. They need to win one team fight, Shy Guy. They can just bolster ultimates up, bank them down, and come on in for the proper fight that they really want to take. And with that Nano currently being available, well, they can even just throw it onto Bub and see if that will start winning them the fight, and then start to properly commit with some heavy hitters.
Yeah, the problem for the side of No Use is that they don't necessarily have ultimates that can win a fight outright. They don't have anything like a Blizzard that kind of you consider, you know, something that can win a fight on its own, but they've got an opening pick once again. The Dragons have split Kryix up to an extent, and now it looks like No Use ready to push in aggressively. They forced out the Coalescence. They throw Bob into the backline as a distraction. That breaks out the wall from Rye Amazing. Now with the mines on point, they can move in a bit more aggressively.
Yeah, but really, Kryix are just buying time for Rye Amazing to build up that Blizzard, because that is that fight-winning ultimate.
It definitely has potential to be, and he's in fact found Micro in the backline, takes down Tea Time as well, hitting the shots with those icicles, and now looking to deal with Raid on top of it all, chasing him down with the help of Sun, and that might just be what Kryix needed to keep this hold going.
And they didn't need to put really any ultimate properly into that last engagement. Rye Amazing just has to absolutely pop off and become a monster in that kill feed. Has built up the Blizzard, that team fight winning ultimate. Noise for a Name, they're not running anything to really deal with it. They just have to be able to disengage. Stormhornet will go on to that Diva though, so finally putting in a little bit of value into that defense matrix, but it will just be down to that mech to get the eat.
Yes, and the Supercharger is the engagement tool for the side of No Use. They throw out the Dragons as well. Demented is down in the meantime, but the Blizzard has been built up. It has been thrown out, but still the kills are there for the side of No Use. They're able to get a couple immediately. The res comes through as well. Micro able to get in there and almost makes it out with his life. The bomb in the back for Kryix is zoning No Use away, but the kills aren't in their favor right now.
Well, no, it is all going in favor of No Use for a Name, and it looks as if they might finally be able to chase Kryix off that point once and for all.
I think they'll be able to do it as soon as they can deal with this Wrecking Ball. Spike gets 1 kill with the slam, but the bio nade onto him is making his survivability not so great right now. The bomb out from Storm Hornet might just seal the deal. Everyone's zoned away and no one can touch for Kryix. No Use for a Name are on the board.
And I'm not gonna say that this team started improving when they started dealing with that Mei, but I'm going to imply it strongly and firmly. It really is quite nice to see Storm Hornet go for that D.Va when they know that they don't really have that chance to build up the sign barrier, just hoping that they can have that defense matrix, because even if the D.Va doesn't get the eat onto the Blizzard, it still forces Maze to play completely differently and put ultimates in a completely different tactic. Because you see some Maze, when they know that defense matrix isn't there, just wait around for 6 people to all be caught up in the same space and put Blizzard in because it will find value. When you have a D.Va in the mix, the Mei has to start thinking about how she wants to play. She has to put the wall up. She has to see 2 people alone and see that as much value as the ultimate actually being able to go off.
Yeah, so the double sniper setup working out quite well there for No Use for a Name the first time around. This time they're going to be pressured out a little bit more. The dive coming through for Kryix. They think they can just get right up in the face of No Use for a Name. They think they can get aggressive once again and take the series back in their favor.
Well, Tea Time is going to be having a hard time. Widow against Dive, notoriously difficult to pull off. In fact, I'm not going to be very surprised if we're going to see that swap coming through from McCree anytime now.
Oh, and some pressure there from OP draws the attention of the healers. Noble a little bit off on his own, flanking around with the Orisa, gets isolated and immediately dealt with. So a good start here for Kryix is forcing some swaps out from No Use for a Name. They're going to go back to something a bit more meta. They're going to try and loop around and kind of park themselves on the point, it seems like, and force the dive to come in.
Yeah, no McCree out, but they are going to take a different form of CC, and that's Caffeine heading onto that Mei, trying to just get that freeze on the primary 5 for when the dive comes through. And it will look a little bit frosty for Rymazing, who now has to worry about that when he goes to Blade.
Yes, but he's going to be building up to that Blade pretty shortly. A few more shurikens will do the deed, and Wolf will have the nano boost shortly to engage with that. A big tool for them. The Blade is out, the nano is committed, and the kills are going to be flowing through for Rymazing. A triple kill to clean up that fight.
If there's any criticism, and it is nitpicking, it's that nano was not necessarily needed. You could have put it onto Spike for when No Use for a Name come in for their next attack, because arguably while the team was already dead, it was just Rymazing doing them a little bit of a favor and sending them back early. And now No Use for a Name, they can try and capitalize on this. They only have to deal with a bomb. Spike is coming up to the primal, but as long as they don't go too near the ledge, it shouldn't be too impactful.
Ooh, the jetpack there from Spike is a little bit misplayed. He's going to have to commit the Primal Rage to keep this going, but he creates some space. OP throws in the bomb off the back of that, and they look like they're going to be able to once again come out on top here, as No Use not able to get the engagement they were looking for.
I spoke to Sir. No Use for a Name don't have to stand here a ledge to die from that primal. Spike and OP ult at the same time, and Spike just chucks anyone who's standing there from the side of No Use for a Name away from the safety of that Rhine shield, and unfortunately it just so happens to be Micro.
Yeah, and that was a massive pick off there, and now No Use in on their last attempt, at least here on downtown, as they head towards the point. They get the opening pick this time around. Tea Time doing work on the Reaper, now in the back, trying to find some tanky bodies to shoot at. Will get the D-Mech onto OP, so at the 11th hour, No Use for a Name come up with the win.
But they are going to have such a hard time keeping control of this point, Shy Guy, because really, if you look at Kryix, they're just building up to this Nano Blade. This is their win condition. Any other ultimates, any other picks that they're managing to pick up along the way, well, it's just good insurance. So No Use for a Name, they have to survive the storm. It's going to be coming in this next fight. Wolf is getting close to that nano. Micro has to keep a hold of that sign barrier through the whole next engagement. And you know Kryix are going to be focusing that one support down so hard to make sure he uses it too early.
Yeah, if I'm Kryix, I don't even use the Blade this fight. I just dive right on top of Micro. If we kill him, great. If he uses beat, perfect. But they'll engage with the Blade. The nano is out. The beat is there for the answer, and the bomb zones the rest of Kryix away. They can't move in off the back of that. Now the Blizzard and the Shatter being committed to kill off Spike. They do get that one, but nothing more for the side of No Use for a Name. Still, they weather that storm.
perhaps a little bit of a too aggressive push on the side of Kryix, because I agree with you entirely. I would much rather have seen them just try to go for that proper dive onto the Lucio to try to pull that sound barrier out. But no, Kryix, they understand that that's just not going to be working out for them. They can't hope that the Nanoblade is going to find everything. So Wolf is going to swap onto the Moira, Raimazing onto the Mei, and Sun onto the Reaper. They wanted to go for this mirror matchup. They want to try and build up a Blizzard, but with 71% on the board, it's a little bit too late.
And that's a bold choice when they're down in ult economy, and OP is able to shake things around a little bit with the bomb, but still the kills seem to be coming through for Tea Time. He's in the backline on the Reaper, uses the Death Blossom in that fight, and they're able to stay on top.
And no use for a name. It's their last fight that they really do have to survive, and they're the ones in control of the ultimates here, Shaggy, because Kryix, the whole team swap almost entirely reset their ultimate charges. They have nothing!
Absolutely, they're going to be at such a disadvantage here. They've got to find an individual outplay. The Coalescence on the bomb to open it up for the side of No Use. They're able to deal with Spike. They're able to get aggressive off the back of those ultimates. And Tea Time, once again, it's cleanup time now for him as he's just unleashed on the point. No one from the side of Kryix can really seem to do anything about it.
Well, there is a Coalescence on the board, but again, it's just the squishies, and I don't think Wolf is going to be surviving for long.
No, definitely not. Demented trying to buy some time on the Lucio. Almost gets a nice boop onto Caffeine, but it's not going to happen. The Death Blossom is the cherry on top here for No Use for a Name as they look to close this out. Just a few more kills needed. They commit the sound barrier for good measure, and now it's just about dealing with these tanks, and they will be able to force them off the point.
Okay, we're seeing Esports name come alive. This really was the map where they absolutely knocked it out of the park, Shy Guy, and it was exactly what they needed to do. They start going a little bit aggressive, they start initiating with ultimates. We've been wanting to see it for so long, and answering back to what Kryix are throwing at them. Not only that, they forced the swap. They managed to force a Nanoblading composition to swap to a mirror matchup. Normally, if you have Nano, you just bait out that Lucio sound barrier and you go in with those two ultimates and it just wins you the entire match. And they managed to make them swap, and we really are seeing perhaps Kryix, their aggressive play, is actually going to be a little bit more prone to be punished now.
Yeah, I definitely think there was kind of a moment in that last point where Kryix was up 99-0. They get it all the way up there, and No Use for Name comes back in and wins the next fight. At that point, I think Kryix probably should have swapped to the mirror right away, because they've had the advantage in where we're dealing with that kind of mirror matchup. But instead, they wait too late. They lose the ult economy. They waste time trying to build up to another Nano Blade, and it doesn't work out in their favor. They aren't able to get the wins there on Busan, as No Use for Name kind of swap things up. They come out with a unique composition on Sanctuary to really kind of kite Kryix as much as possible and force fights on their terms. So I really like what No Use is doing there. They're playing around with just kind of the individual matchups of compositions, and they're able to stave off defeat for now.
It's almost as if the two teams have swapped problems, because No Use for a Name, their stubbornness, their refusal to swap off when they perhaps should have. Well, that was arguably what lost them the first map in Oasis. And Kryix, arguably what just lost them Busan, was that inability to swap up the Genji when they really should have. And so going into this next map, with both teams seeing that stubbornness doesn't always pay off in Overwatch, we might be seeing something entirely different coming out from these teams. And this being a meta where literally anything and everything can happen, I am so excited to see all of the stops getting pulled out.
Yes, but now as the map pick comes in, Volskaya gonna be banned out, King's Row coming through. That tells me that we are headed right back to the comfort zone for Kryix. We are headed right back to those kind of compositions we saw on Busan, or sorry, rather on Oasis, and then on Rialto as well, where you've got that Rhine Diva as your tank line. You can play the Mei to great effectiveness here. This to me feels like Kryix has decided this is where we want to end the series. So No Use going to have to really come through and make some improvements, as far as going toe to toe with Kryix on even ground.
Yeah, but we saw Noise for a Name. They teased that double sniper matchup that we got to saw just a little bit in a Sanctuary, Shy Guy. And if there's any map that you can currently run double sniper on, well, there are so many ledges in King's Road. There's even a short dedicated to Widowmaker picking up a kill. I know, surprising to myself as well. She actually managed to hit someone.
Yeah, not the Widowmaker on my teams. That definitely never happens to me in ranked. But you know, we've got some great players here already showing off on the hit scan here tonight. I mean, both Tea Time and Sun have been fantastic on that, or on the McCree so far at times. So it wouldn't be surprising necessarily to see the Widowmaker, but I feel like if you do try to run the double sniper here, it really is a risk that you're taking, because you're going to be sacrificing a lot of that point presence, the ability to brawl on the objective, and you know that tends to be what King's Row is all about.
Oh, definitely. You only really run sniper in that beginning opening where you see the attacking team try to get that sneaky surprise pick off, but it's been done so many times now that, similar to Symmetra's teleporting strat on Hanamura, everyone already really knows and can just counter it by walking in the other direction.
Yes, exactly. And there's so many ways to kind of mitigate the effects of that. I don't think we'll be seeing the snipers. It's definitely not going to happen for the defense. There's no use swapping sides over to the blue this time around, and we'll see if they can hold fast on this defense. They'll be dealing with not exactly a mirror composition, as Sun going back over to the McCree for the attack.
This is going to make it so hard for T-Temp to find value, because when that Reaper goes to try to dance with Wolf, he's just going to find the flashbang ready to escort him back to the spawn doors.
Yes, absolutely. But the rotation through the hotel has given Kryix a little bit of purchase on the point, and Sun an angle to fire away from. They've forced No Use for a Name back. Tea Time goes for the Wraith form there, but comes out of it extremely early. Perhaps didn't realize the wall was there behind him. Falls, and that is the go signal for Kryix to surge onto the point.
And this, for me, is a tale of two Reinhardt's ult charges. Shaga, look at this comparison. Spike is about to hit his first shatter, and Noble, the Reinhardt with a Reaper to back him up, who should be free to just drop his shield and hammer away knowing the shotguns are there to back him up. He's the one who's lagging behind.
Yeah, and you know, so far it has been Kryix really taking control of the pace of this map so far. A nice freeze there onto Spike from Caffeine sets them up to re-aggress, to take control of the cart and push Kryix back.
This should be where Noise for Name can really find their footing, especially with Raid having this Coalescence up and Caffeine being so close to that Blizzard. If he's able to get it up online before DM hits that sign bar and they initiate with it, they should be able to get a hold of this choke.
Ooh, the wall from Caffeine almost catches them out. The Coalescence is committed on both sides. And now the Blizzard, even from Rymazing in the choke point, not going to find anyone, but forces No Use for a Name to retreat a little bit, to rotate around. But they're back into the fight immediately, so not the value they were looking for. The bomb into the back, not going to find anything either, but it enables Rymazing to go a bit more aggressive. He'll be dealt with thanks to that Shatter Bomb combo, and now No Use for a Name have really established themselves in the choke.
So Kryix, they try to just put ultimates in and in this sort of trickle of charges in the hopes that DM is able to come to that sound barrier before Caffeine wants to put the Blizzard in. And yes, it buys them the time to get that sound barrier online, but they sacrifice so much, and not only that, they lose the team fight because the ultimates that they put in, they find little to no value. Meanwhile, Noise for a Name, they've still got this Blizzard. Tea Time has got the Death Blossom as well, so they can easily go for that bait, pull the beat out, and then put Blizzard in.
Okay, and now we're seeing an extremely long rotation coming through for the side of Kryix. They're going to push towards the choke point as No Use for Name retreat a little bit on the back foot. Now Noble will fall, but Tea Time answers back. The triple kill on the Death Blossom will save the fight for the defenders.
And now they can stagger out the Baby Diva. The wall comes in, so he is just not gonna be allowed the luxury of dying anytime soon. T-Time finally puts that Diva out of the misery, but they have bought enough time. The main tank is actually currently being ferried back by the Lucio. So Micro is away and out of the fight, but Kryix will not be able to capitalize on the moment thanks to that Diva stagger. more importantly, Caffeine has that Blizzard ready to go when DM put the beat in last fight. They can freeze his
will just get the
Hello there.
push for
You seem in need of aid. Coalescence is charging. The power of destruction.
Nerf this! Time to use my APM!
Hello there.
The payload has reached the checkpoint. Repositioning.
My ultimate is almost charged.
This is gonna make you feel better.
a little bit. Doesn't look like it's gonna be enough though, as Kryix is still sitting on this payload, still pushing it towards that finish line. They've got that sound barrier as well, but no one knows. Stormhornet is actually sitting on that ledge, ready to get the contest going, allowing the team to get in. Noble has the shatter. He wants to put it in, but he's gonna have to get it past Spike first.
Okay, there. I think we are back together in Kryix, getting ready for what could be their final push on this map. Really need to make this work now. They've got the sound barrier ready to count out the Blizzard, but no use for a name with a big advantage right now. The Blizzard is out for Amazing, and the Coalescence, though, from the side of Raid is keeping everyone alive for the time being. The sound barrier as well prevents that Earth Shatter from getting a lot of value. Spike laid them down, but the kills just now able to come in. They get Caffeine. They get the Blizzard out of the fight for the side of No Use for a Name, so less tools remaining for the defense as they try desperately to hang on. They are falling one by one, though. Tea time down now, and even though Storm Hornet trying valiantly to keep some time on the cart, OP though getting the better into that D.Va matchup, gobbles up the Blizzard once again. Just continues to do this for Kryix as they look to finish off this fight.
And it looks as if they're going to finish this one off pretty quickly, Shagai. That is the last remnants of Noise for an End. The Lucio is still trying to pull it back. Their spawns are so much closer. Wolf is out of the fight, but I don't think it's going to be enough.
No, it's definitely not. Sun with the Death Blossom for good measure. And Kryix push through after getting slowed down on that point B choke. They are eventually able to break through, but otherwise that map was all them, despite the valiant effort from No Use for a Name.
And let me write you the beautiful ballad of OP and that last Blizzard E, because it was beautiful. Or if you're a fan of No for a Name, well, it was absolutely hopes and dreams shattering, because that team, they were trying to buy time, throwing themselves onto the payload again and again in the hopes that the May would be able to get in and put the Blizzard down, and they would be able to pull the fight back in with that. No, OP denies that completely, crushes it beneath their heel, and they read it perfectly. So you see so often that Mays like to put the wall down because they think if they put the Blizzard in behind the wall, it prevents the chance of the D.Va getting the defense matrix. OP sees the wall come through, immediately boosts towards it, and just reaction defense matrices, and boom! It's gone, it's off the table, and so are the hopes of Noise for a Name trying to stop Kryix from picking up that point 3.
And another kind of crucial moment there is the fact that Caffeine did go down in that fight while he still had the Blizzard available. It makes it much more telegraphed when he is trying to come out of the spawn and immediately use it. OP knows exactly what is about to happen and is, as you said, just completely prepared for it. Comes through with the clutch play and helps Kryix to finish off their attack. They finish with over a minute remaining in the time bank. That's a crucial break point. If they can force this even into overtime, they'll have a chance to finish off the series. But I think they want to do it here and now. They want to get the defense coming through. So let's see what No Use for a Name has in store.
But they're holding at the point, Kryix, and so they are going to try and get that wall, but it's just not done as beautifully as if they were standing by the choke themselves.
No, it doesn't quite work out for them. Sun not able to get into the backline just yet. So the entry through the choke is there for No Use for a Name. Now just rotating around the statue as Kryix fall back behind the hotel, fall back to favorable ground now. But the team's getting ready to go at it on the point. That wall sets up a charge in from Noble, but no kill just yet. Spike saved by his teammates for the time being. So Kryix still in this one, trying to buy time until their Coalescence is online. Wolf will unleash that to answer the one out from Raid. So no one dying in the meantime until Sun is the first to go down. That charge onto Noble, though, is going to even things out until Spike frozen up, dealt with immediately. So the advantage for No Use for a Name right now is they're pushing forward, trying to finish off this fight. They'll have the spawn advantage as well. The Death Blossom is booped away. A nice play there from Demented keeps his team in the fight. They've got a Sound Barrier and the Blizzard if they want to commit them. The Blizzard will secure at least one kill, but nothing else just yet. A little bit late with the Sound Barrier to save OP's neck.
But they're putting so much in, Shy Guy. Almost everything that they had that came online, kitchen sink included, seemed like it was thrown into that fight, and it was so prolonged. It took so long that No Use for a Name, they've been holding on to ultimates. They haven't really been putting them in. DM put that Sound Barrier in. I think he's going to be wanting it back, especially when Caffeine tries to go for this Blizzard. Once again, it's up to OP to get the E.
Yeah, definitely. And OP also has the bomb, so a little bit of mind games there. Will he try to throw that one in before the Blizzard, knowing that the ultimate will probably be soon to follow? We'll just have to see. Sun in a bit of an awkward spot, having to Wraith form back to the safety of his team right now. Noble unleashes the Earth Shatter. It's absolutely massive. It lays them all on their backs, and that's going to be more than enough for No Use for a Name.
And again, the main tank is the one that opens things up for their team, and they should be able to pick up point A off the back of just that one shatter. That was absolutely beautiful. The cleanup is exemplary afterwards, and No Use for a Name, they're going to surge ahead. They're going to try and take all of this free real estate of streets before they have to start paying their rental fee, Shy Guy, because, well, Kryix, they want to be painful!
Oh, Sun even going to commit the Death Blossom here as they're chasing down these kills. They know that the split spawns came through, but it's just not happening for Kryix. They bite off a bit more than they can chew, and they're going to be forced back to spawn.
And they've lost control of not only streets, but that choke. And that choke is an absolute killer when it comes to time bank, Shy Guy. If you play it right, you can hold at that one choke for the rest of the entire match. But No Use for a Name, they've got so much. They've got so much, but everyone is in control currently of a Blizzard, and that's really the one that's going to swing things in favor. My eye is on the Divas, how they're going to play, whether they're going to try and bait the Mei into putting it down early.
Well, there's the bomb into the back. Not going to find anything. The charge can't really set it up for the side of No Use for a Name as they push in. They can't get any kills off the back of that, split up by the Blizzard, and they will come out worse for wear.
Oh, again, it's going to be No Use for a Name pushed back to spawn, but here's the thing, Shy Guy, they didn't put in those fight-winning ultimates. They've been keeping a hold of them. However, they might have kept a hold of them just a little bit longer, because now they're going to have to play bait the ultimate out of the Lucio before they can put these in. Time has that high ledge, he can drop down from before, but you actually see Sun already occupying it, not wanting to let him get that advantage over his head.
That is an excellent heads-up play coming out there from the defensive Reaper, and it's making this push very difficult as now No Use for a Name go in, but they've already lost their Rhine. Too much spam damage taken by Noble as he tries to go in deep, and Sun now on the cleanup with the Coalescence, giving him free reign to go as aggressive as he wants. They'll repel No Use for a Name once again, but no ultimates committed by the attackers there.
They're just trying to pull out the Sound Barrier. They're trying to really just drag it out from the side of Kryix, but they're waiting just a little bit long.
Sorry,
Honestly,
Caffeine?
oh no, the
Caffeine?
Blizzard went in!
He used it in spawn. He was in spawn.
It was this one. It must have been a fat finger because they're sticking
Oh.
with the mate. That is the absolute worst thing that could have happened for this team. And if Kryix have heard that, well, they can press the advantage and start getting the kills in their way.
Yeah, and that's exactly what they're trying to do. Sun into the back line, unleashing the Death Blossom, splits them up, gets a lot of value for Amazing with a Blizzard of his own, drops it right in the middle of the fight. There's nowhere to run. The Blizzard in front of you, the Death Blossom behind you, and it's just terror either direction for No Use for a Name.
Oh, that was painful. Losing that Blizzard is going to cost them so much. They've got 1 minute, 16 seconds left on the clock. Shy Guy, Caffeine hasn't even hit that halfway point. You have to start really letting that Mei go a little bit ham. The entire team has to pocket her if they want to get that Blizzard online once again before the overtime bar starts ticking down. You do have a little bit of time to play with. DM does not have that sign right and will not have it for quite a while yet. But it's going to be these Moiras, the Coalescence, and they're already killing so much time with this really long rotation.
Yeah, that is a questionable decision when you're running out of clock. The clock is not your friend right now if you're No Use for a Name. The bomb is going to force them to back off from this fight a little bit. Now the go signal is there. Spike charges in deep. He had the Coalescence behind him, but trying to back off around the corner. Not going to work out for him. Now, Kryix just trying to buy time. They just want to keep this cart from moving while they all get killed off.
Not only buy time, but also pull ultimates out from their enemies. You saw the shadow come in, you saw the Coalescence as well. The cart will move, but at what price? Caffeine is going to be hitting that Blizzard anytime soon. DM is not going to be able to keep pace, will not have the beat online, so once again is going to be up to OP to try to get this eat. If No Use for a Name want this payload to keep on moving and have any chance of staying in this match, they have to start focusing the Baby Diva. They cannot Blizzard unless she's out of her mech.
All right, this is it for No Use for Name. You've got to win this fight if you want to stay in the series. They've got the Blizzard ready to go. It is eaten once again. OP has been a menace all night on the Diva and continues to do it now. Still, tools there for the side of No Use, but they're all hit by the Shatter. Spike shuts them down. The Death Blossom over top to secure the kills, and that's going to do it. No Use for a Name cannot stick around on the cart. Kryix Esports come away with the 3-1 victory.
And I honestly think the hopes and dreams and the result of that match, all of it was written on Defense Matrix. It is such a powerful tool. It is arguably the most powerful any normal ability in the game currently. Something that can deny ultimates entirely. Yes, I would say it's even on the same par as Immortality Field because it just keeps people alive. The Diva doesn't have to worry about defense, about Death Blossoms or Blizzards because they're just gone. Completely off the books, and all of that effort that you've taken, all of that time that you've had to build up, it's just written off, and you don't even need to worry about the cooldown that much. It's such a short time. There's hardly any punishment involved in Diva at the moment. It feels like there is no punishment. It's high reward, very, very low risk with that defense matrix being so short and the cooldown and the boosters being, well, one of the shortest abilities in the game. Currently a little bit of a questioning there on the balancing, but we're here to cast games and not criticize the developers.
Yes, and we saw some incredible Diva play through this series. Storm Hornet was great for No Use for a Name. OP, just fantastic for Kryix, especially there on King's Row. He was popping off, gobbled up a couple of those ultimates coming out from Caffeine, so really well played and putting in his last minute kind of entry into that MVP poll. Wants to remind you who's the best Diva in this series was, and definitely deserving of some votes. But we'll have the results of that, and of course an interview with the winner in just a moment, as as we take a second to just kind of digest what we just saw.
Well, it was actually, I think that the score doesn't really say how close some of those engagements were. I feel like if No Use for a Name didn't have the absolute tragedy that was losing that Blizzard in the spawn room, it would have been a much closer match because Caffeine did an amazing job building a Blizzard in 1 minute. you know that if they had had a second Blizzard, well, they wouldn't have had to worry about a sound barrier because we know that DM would not have had it up on time. They would have been able to initiate with it. They would have been able to keep the payload moving. That would have taken them to that little bit just before the payload slides into B, which is notoriously hard for people to defend against. And then they would have had a Blizzard for then. And Kryix, well, they might not have been able to get the Blizzard twice, eaten twice in a row. So we might be looking at something entirely different right now, Shy Guy.
Yeah, I mean that is a backbreaking moment there, and one that just leaves you feeling kind of sad about what could have been for No Use for a Name. You know, it's one that Caffeine is unfortunately going to be kicking himself over, you know, going forward. That's one that you know he wants back. But unfortunately, it's not going to happen here tonight. Kryix come away with the win. No Use for a Name dropping down into the losers bracket now. So their tournament run is not over by any means. They've still got an opportunity to fight their way back into the remainder of the tournament. So we'll be keeping an eye out for them to see. I believe they're going to be taking on Ski Corp in the lower bracket, whereas Kryix moving on to take on Citizens in the upper bracket. And that should be very interesting, considering the way these two teams play. Ultra aggressive on all fronts, and it is going to be a treat to watch.
It feels like it's going to be a boxing match. Both teams on opposing ends of the ring, just fighting it out in the center until the other one just falls down from exhaustion, Shy Guy. I really do believe that is going to be one of the games to watch of this entire tournament. And so I do urge everyone at home, not just take my word from it, do check it out yourselves, either on the Discord, the YouTube, or the Twitter, and the Twitch. We're on so many platforms, Shy Guy. We're it's not multinational, we're what, multi-social media.
Yes, and lots of places to find us, and you know, a lot of places to support us. So we appreciate anything that we get from the viewers at home. You know, joining us on any of those socials helps us kind of increase our reach and continue growing, which is always the goal here. But you know, speaking of growth, or speaking of a team that has grown a lot in my eyes here tonight, it's definitely Kryix. This was the first time either of us, I believe, have gotten to see them play, and it really was a joy. I mean, they told us from the jump they were going to be aggressive, that the W keys were going to be pressed at all times, and they did not disappoint on that front.
No, I'm extremely happy as well, and pleased to say that the viewers at home agreed with past Moxie. They believed that Rymazing was definitely well deserving of that MVP title, because Shy Guy, well, they're going to be joining us in just a little bit, and I get to just sing the songs and praises of the May. Horrible to play against, beautiful to play.
Yeah. So Rymazing, you know, how was that series for you guys? It got a little bit closer towards the tail end, you know, with them swinging things back a little bit on Busan. But did the series ever feel like it was in danger at all?
After that Busan map, when they ran that double sniper, I was like, oh boy, this might be rough. Like, I was afraid we're back at the reverse sweep, and I was scared for a second, but I think we had the confidence to turn it around and make sure we closed out the victory.
And I think my biggest question to any person who I see in any game this high rank, who plays Mei predominantly in a meta which is very much diva favored currently, is how do you put your Blizzards in? Do you play around defense matrix? Is there any sort of tip or trick that you can give the budding Mei mains out there on how to pull off an ultimate without worrying about it being gobbled up?
The best way to do it is to wait for the enemy diva to use her defense matrix, because there's a cooldown after you use it. So then, as soon as she's done using it, you can pop your ult and she can't eat it. Unless you throw it really far, but generally...
All right. Well, I do want to ask. I mean, this was your first match in this tournament so far. Up next, you guys are going to be going toe to toe with Citizens, who we already know are one of the best teams that we've got in Tier 3 and in this tournament specifically. What can you tell us about that matchup and how you guys are going to be preparing for that?
Well, I think it's gonna be a lot of 4-hour double blocks, that's for sure. I think it will be a pretty hard match for us, but I think maybe we'll steal a map or something. I think that'd be a good goal to set, because they are really, really good.
Absolutely, and I did want to ask you right now. You are playing a lot of Mei, but we also got to see quite a bit of Tracer coming out from you. So if you had your choice right now and you weren't necessarily forced to play the Mei, would we be seeing more Tracer? What kind of heroes would you like to be playing at the moment?
I think Tracer is really fun. I also really like Genji. I think Genji's a great character, he just hasn't been good for a long time. We're seeing him a little bit more in pro play now, but I think he's a lot of fun to play, and I'd love to play him.
So it's interesting that you say that you think Genji isn't in quite a good place, because we actually saw him coming out from I believe it was you yourself on Busan. So
I think
having said that you believe that he's not in such a good place, what was sort of the team's opinion behind the Genji pick? Was it very much Nanoblade geared, or was it a different reason?
It was mostly Nanoblade, because the previous map they had ran Mercy Ana, which meant they had no defensive ult, right? So they couldn't stop it with like a beat or anything. Although it didn't work out because they ended up switching to Lucio.
Mm-hmm. And we saw the dive came out from you guys on that map, and it worked well to kind of force them away from the double snipers that gave you so much trouble. But ultimately they did pull through. But Kryix coming away with the win here tonight. So we want to thank you for the chance to get a little bit of an interview in, and congratulations on the win. Before we let you go, do want to give you the opportunity to shout out anyone behind the scenes, plug streams, tell people where they can find you, anything like that.
I don't play anything, but I would like to thank my friends and my team and my manager, and I think that they're all great people, and without them we wouldn't have won this match, and I wouldn't be here.
All right, well, thank you so much for joining us, Rye Amazing, and congratulations on the win here tonight, and good luck through the rest of the tournament.
All right, thank you. See ya.
Shy Guy, pinch me. We got to see Genji.
It's true. We did.
2020 Overwatch, we got to see Genji.
We saw Ashe too. Like that was something I did not expect at all.
Everyone at the moment really does favor that McCree, and Ashe is left just a little bit unloved. But no, she has quite a lot of value. The Dynamite builds your ultimate up insanely quickly. You have so much power in controlling where your enemies fight purely off that one ability, because when you put it in, if you curve it around shields, well, it dissuades a tank lineup from walking forward entirely.
Yeah, and, despite the kind of unique picks that we saw in Busan, the series kind of mostly came down to the fundamentals of the meta right now. Your diva play, your Mei's, playing around the defense matrix, all of the kind of pace setting that comes from an aggressive front line. It all really came to bear here tonight, and it results in a big win for Kryix as they move on into a round 3 matchup with Citizens.
Yeah, but nice for a name. They still pulled out quite a lot of the stops today, Shy Guy. They seem to be lagging just a little bit on those opening maps, but they really did knuckle down in the closing hours. Unfortunately, it was just a little bit too late, but the problems that they had, they're very easily amendable. I think the biggest one really is going to be focusing on which ultimates you need to put in and when you need to put them in, rather than trying to build up quite a few of them to find the same sort of value, because unfortunately that just doesn't happen in Overwatch. It's a game that changes so rapidly that you really do have to open with your team fight win, rather than hoping that you'll buy enough time to try to find some value to put it in at a better opportunity.
Absolutely couldn't have said it better myself, but that is going to bring us to the end of the broadcast here tonight. It's been a pleasure casting with you. We had some excellent games here this evening, and I want to thank all the viewers at home for joining us for this presentation of the All-Star Brawl here at Star Esports. As always, we have had a wonderful time here this evening, but it's time to bid adieu, so we'll see you all next time here at Star Esports.